Yeah, some story it's very brown suspicion.
Okay. Hayom Kotzav Amalach Meruba. The Balabayas wants we should get the work done. We should spoke about the Shabbos. The Balabayas wants that we should do we should just the Kayit could break out of his boundary. But Amalek says, okay, David shall help that this purim, every one of us will manage in the short time to give all the shalach monas we have to give and say all the dvar we'd like to say and v'chulu taking all the kedusha and do everything that we need to do. Okay. In the Wednesday night Aloch Shir, 2 points that someone asked about. One is we learned in the Kitzur Shulchan Aruch that even if a person has a lot of tzar of the tainus, he's not allowed to eat or drink before the Megillah. But he could have a little te'ima like coffee. So someone asked, is a coffee dafka? You can only have a cup of coffee. How about a Danish? How about a hamantash? It sounds from the Kitzur Shulchan Aruch that you could have coffee. Okay, so let's a little bit, this was a Kitzur Shulchan Aruch, so let's a little bit go back up and see a little bit the market of the din. And let's read it here. The Ramah writes in Siman Tov Reish Tzadik Beis, even though it's hard for a person to fast, then it's still also to eat. Mishnah Berurah writes, I'm a Magen Avraham shemasik dafka achila also. Achila is also aval te'ima ba'al mashori. The taste you're allowed to. Why? The Alter Rebbe also brings it in Siman Reish Ayin Aleph that it's an exception, like Kiddush Avdallah, because I'll say before Kiddush and Avdallah you're not allowed to eat or drink anything. But usually before a mitzvah, you're not allowed to have a suda because they're scared you're going to start eating, you're going to wash, you're going to eat a meal, and then you're going to get carried away. But you're allowed to have te'ima before a mitzvah. You are allowed to have. So l'chayri you should be allowed to eat a te'ima. L'kein tov yoser l'hakal isha zeh sheyitim koydem kriyas Megillah v'loy l'hakal likris meplaga mincha l'mayl da pri chodesh koyda tiger al kula zu v'daite koydem tzesek echavim ein yoytze klal afilo b'di'evid. There is a discussion if a person is fasting and it's very hard for him. So he wants to finish the fast earlier. Now, a lot of people, today it's already a little different, but used to be that there was a common minhag to daven ma'ariv ready from plaga mincha. So 1.25 hours. Yeah. Right. So could you read the Megillah right away? So Shulchan Aruch says you can be mekel, but later Achronim said that no, a person should not be mekel because you have to read mamish when it's night. That the mitzvah is by night. Like I explained in the Wednesday night shir that the saying Krishma and Tefillah is b'shar b'chov kumecha when people go to sleep. It's not a din alayla, but the mitzvah of reading the Megillah is bayom ubalayla. You have to read it by night. Mm-hmm. So therefore you have to read it by night when it's already tzeisak yechavim. So therefore you have to wait for tzeisak yechavim. But what if the person is very hungry? The curtain says just perplexing that Achronim write that you shouldn't, even though for other mitzvahs were mekel, but for this mitzvah that the minhag is not to be mekel only if it's a tzoyrech godel. Obviously, the person has really not even a choilish, even a choilish ein beisakona doesn't need to fast. Tainus Esther is the most kula that can fast, but even less than that, so a choiluk tzas is to be less than that. That he's mechuyev to fast. Elamai that the tainus is kosherloy. So shir te'ima is kebeitza pas or mashke shir kebeitza, which is. If you go with weight, like 2 ounces of solid and like 6 ounces of liquid. Okay? Because of a primagodem, by the way, the fidas of prichodesh afilo ben hashmoshes and likris, but the evidem kore ben hashmoshes gam ke mistapek and malay be'oines behecher godel yeshet tzadak lahokal ba'atz kosa b'chayodem the fila kore metzasa kodem tzes kechavim loyotza v'tzarech laz lekosa b'li brocha. If a person starts reading the Megillah a minute or two early, people are hungry, so but you have to reread the Megillah, the whole Megillah later. So bottom line is, we once gave a shiur about it. Why? But what the Metzius is that the minig Yisrael Torah is that for this mitzvah, for some reason Megillah, that this mitzvah they're very makpid. Maybe because it's a very chaviv. There's some, whatever the reason is.
They had a 3-day fast, so if they fast for 3 days, you can hold on for 30 minutes.
Okay, I hear. In Beis Menachem Mendel, it's a little more than 30 minutes. That we read the Megillah. We read the Megillah. There's a story of the Nitlat Rebbe that he was once in a city, and he heard the Megillah. And after when he said a compliment, he said to the Baal Kollel, "What a beautiful! I heard it from you. It was a beautiful story." So the Baal Kollel said, "Well, every year you don't hear it." So he said, "Every year I hear it from my father, but I hear a totally different story when I hear it from my father." When the Alter Rebbe reads it, he was hearing different. He was hearing a different story. But when he heard it from a Baal Kollel, it wasn't his father. All of a sudden he heard the pshat. He heard a different story. He saw all of a sudden clowns in the streets. He saw Zedish, and he saw the garbage flying. So he saw. So wow, it's a beautiful story. Anyway, Beis Menachem Mendel, by the way, it's a beautiful story, and it takes more than 30 minutes. But even more than 30 minutes, that's the minig. But Lapoil, Hayois, by every mitzvah, there is an exemption that you're allowed to have te'ima. You're not allowed to have suda. You're allowed to have te'ima, and te'ima means to drink or eat something. So therefore, it's mutter. So probably when the kids
only sits down a cup of coffee.
Oh, so probably when the kids Shulchan Aruch said a cup of coffee, he didn't mean mamash.
Same thing as Shabbos morning before davening, that people say you can have coffee with sugar, without sugar.
No.
It's the same story.
It's not. It's different. Eating and drinking before a mitzvah, and eating and drinking before davening is a little bit of a different thing. It's a different. It's a different part.
Which is stricter? Put it that way.
Depends who you ask.
All right. I'm asking.
In the Shulchan Aruch and Siman Peites, it says that a person should not, because we learn it from the Gemara from several psukim, but the Shulchan Aruch says that if a person's not going to have proper kavanah, then he should eat. So it's a different thing. It's following the kavanah. If a person knows that they could have kavanah, they shouldn't eat. But if they can't have the proper kavanah, they should eat. But before mitzvah, there isn't that exemption of if you could or can't have kavanah.
The picture by other mitzvahs.
No, it's only by tefillah. Yeah, by tefillah we say that if it's
there's an added issue by tefillah more than by other mitzvahs.
Right. There's that added issue of lack of kavanah. If a person's starving, and then he's dafka mechuyev to eat or drink something before the tefillah.
Exactly, like by davening, everyone's supposed to daven, but by Adar and Kiddush, not to be Yitzhak, you can't.
No, that doesn't make a difference. No, that doesn't make a difference. So, so that's the bottom line. For sure, women, for example, that are waiting at home for their husbands to come back as someone to read Megillah, for sure that they should be mekel and they should eat or drink the amount of te'ima. That means a woman that's waiting at home, say a woman can't leave the house, or a person that can't leave the house, that people that can't leave, and they're waiting for someone to come read the Megillah. Like we have Baruch Hashem here, we have several people that go out to different homes, different places, elderly people, v'chulu. So they should definitely, they're waiting till wait at 8 or 9 at night. For sure, they should be doing a te'ima, even
just a te'ima, not a meal.
Right, te'ima, not a meal.
So they're going to have fasting a number of hours more than the fast. It could be.
You have to aim at something.
All right. Okay. All right.
Okay. Now, the tzitzili has, yeah.
Maybe like a Musar question. So, like, yeah, if you don't have kavana, okay, eat something. Obviously, it's good to wait. And how many days?
Not it's good to wait.
Oh.
With davening or for a mitzvah?
Let's say for davening.
Davening and mitzvah is a different thing.
Okay.
By davening, if a person could have kavanah without eating, they should do without eating. If they need the eating, they should do the eating. By mitzvah, we don't say that.
Did you say it's a good thing to extend the time if you're able to wait?
For tefillah?
Yeah, to eat after later. Like,
No.
They're eating like 5 to 6 hours in the morning.
No, that's a different thing. If a person has to know, have to be honest with themselves. Could they have kavanah or can't have kavanah? It's a different thing.
Ask him.
Yeah.
Does tima mean eating or?
Tima means not called achila. So the Mishnah Berurah says tima means if you're eating a kazayis.
So it could be a
Kazayis.
cookie,
Yeah.
or
Yeah.
It doesn't have to be
Yeah.
only drinking. It could be,
Yeah.
it could be eating
Yeah.
something like.
Fruit, a cookie, a hamadash.
Somebody's not fasting. His mom, comes and she practices stop eating.
Yes. Yes. Dafka not. It's right. There's not a din in the fasting. Exactly. A woman that's not fasting, then dafka, she should wait till 8 or 9 when someone comes read the Megillah. Because it's not only that you're not allowed to learn. It's like everything before a mitzvah. It's like before B'dikas Chometz. It's before
before shofar.
before shofar. The same thing. The same thing.
What's the deal with Friday night kiddush and Abdallah? Waiting or not waiting? If you need to drink a little bit and.
So no, Shulchan says not. Shulchan says kiddush and Abdullah, not to have even a teima. Now in the morning,
Water permissible before Abdullah.
so kiddush and Abdullah, the water is a discussion. Yeah.
By the way, why is Esther an easier fast? I mean,
Why?
Yeah.
Because it wasn't instituted and mentioned in the pasuk that says Tzoma Reviv,
Not sure.
in the Novi that mentioned. This is not one of Taniyas that I mentioned there.
Not the korban.
Nothing being
That's the reason the Meforshim says it's not mentioned in the pasuk.
Yeah.
So the Tzitz Eliezer has an interesting question. Obviously, this applies also in the morning. So on Purim morning, also in Chlebavich, everyone does the same thing. Purim is Achdus. No one eats or drinks in the morning before Purim, because it's not only a shaila of davening, it's a shaila of the mitzvah of doing the Megillah. Tzitz Eliezer is an interesting shaila. He brings from a sefer that says that you're not supposed to eat until you do all the 4 mitzvahs of Purim. You have to hear the Megillah, then you have to do at least the minimum of Matanas Lav Yonim and the minimum of Mishloach Manos, and then you can have a hamantash and have coffee. Huh?
Day or night?
Oh,
So how do you eat
So-
the Suda
so-
before you can eat?
oh,
That's
so
it.
you all have. So that was
Sounds like a Purim story.
so.
That's a good Purim
No,
story.
it's Rabbi Vadia Yosef Zechron Labracha said this taina. No, I'm not joking. You'll see. He said, "How could you tell me I'm not allowed to eat before I eat, but I'm mechuyev to eat?" And since the pasuk says Sudas Purim and connects it to the other 3 mitzvahs, no, and he connects it to the other 3 mitzvahs, it's hard to say that Sudas Purim is different. The pasuk connects the 3 mitzvahs, so therefore it's hard to imagine that it really is awesome. Read it inside; it's just beautiful. Sefer Moedim is manim savish also. Aval Yedidi Agoyen Rebbe Vadia Yosef. Bekoil Sina Hisigalo. The Shani Sudas Purim Shigam him mitzvahs Purim. Alachein nichtav lasas oisim yemei mishtav zimcha. Ba'achkach mishloich monas. The Tzitz Eliezer is quoting. Yeah. Okay, that's all right. Why not? And he found a beautiful eye for him. The Helal Aloche. The minig nochenu shaloi lasas. Yeah. Why not? The minig lochnu shel emes kabbalah emes. Minig nochenu shaloi lasas Sudas Purim alach shekaim mitzvahs mishloich monas matanas leim avalita ma'at lifnei kemuta v'em bekach klum. Kivim bezel divrei leket yosher. So he found a befeida sharaya to this. Talmud of the Trumas Adeshem, B'Shem Rabbi, Shebehilchas Purim Kosa Bezel Loshen, Toiv Lishloach Minei Michael Koydem Machila. V'hach Lishna Shel Toiv Mashmo Shuraki Dura Mitzvah Min Hamufcher, Aval Mikore de Dina Mutelechel Gal Koydem. He says the Sheboyle Aleket. I'm sorry, the Talmud of the Trumas Adeshem, the Leket Yosher, writes that it's a good thing, it's a good idea that you should take care of the mitzvah Mishloach Manos first.
No.
So why is it toiv? Is it Arai is not chayiv? As soon as you do the mitzvah of learning the Megillah in the morning, you're allowed to have a coffee and you're allowed to have a hamantash. In the morning, you shouldn't. Again, unless a person we had here last year or 2 years ago, there was a girl that fainted. No,
Just fainted.
She fainted. It's harder for women to fast, and she fainted. So Bama says, so you remember? So yeah, it happens. So the Emma says that the person that knows that they don't have the koiches, so they should be makel with a te'ima, either to eat or to drink. A person that knows they don't have the koiches, if they need it, they should do it. But the purim, that would be ridiculous if you come out of shul and you're starving already. I mean, you got up. You went to the mikveh, you came to shul, you daven your Megillah, it's already, you're up for 3 hours. And now you have to start giving shalach monas and matanas lavyonim. So matanas lavyonim is nish gefährlich. When you're in shul, already someone's collecting. So you already did matanas lavyonim. It's part of the price. For the same price, when you go to shul, you get shachris, Megillah, and matanas lavyonim. But mishloach monas, what? Mishloach monas is not,
somebody in the show.
Okay, so that's what it's told you.
Now,
He says it's
there's
told
no
you.
way to do the Suda in the afternoon, after Mincha, before Mincha. We don't do the Purim Suda first thing in the morning,
Right.
like a bris, bris early in the morning and then have a Suda. It's not our minhag, so
Right.
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 So
Right, but that would be ridiculous to say that
and we don't fast till the Purim Suda in the afternoon.
Right,
You're supposed to watch before Chatzot Sion.
but that
Okay.
but that would be ridiculous to say, look, that this cookie I'm having now is not so the purim, and the pasuk only said you may mishta v'simcha, only the mishnah. So that would be, and then it says takas that we spoke about it last year or 2 years ago, that if a person, I was talking about those that are going out to mafzoim, to be mazaka, people that are in jail or in the hospital or whatever, with hearing the Megillah. So we spoke about it, that perhaps a person could have in the morning some mazoinus and have in mind, listen, if I'll be stuck somewhere and I can't, or taka, a person should wash even
But
for
you're doing
breakfast.
Lishon mitzvah. If you're going to mitzvah to the jail,
Yeah, but you
I
have
would,
you have to eat
But you have
something. How we will go and do it.
what I would put it.
My experience is that on Purim, all you really get is the email until the Suda.
is the what?
All you get on
Yeah.
Purim is the email until the Suda.
I would put it, Rabbi, I would put it one step further, that since the minhag is to have the Purim Suda in the afternoon, then the mitzvah, the time doesn't kick in till maybe you'll say the time doesn't kick in till the afternoon. So you're not supposed to eat a half hour before mincha, but obviously 10:30 in the morning, that time has to kick in.
So it would be ridiculous to say not like this photo. To say, I hear what you're saying, but still, I mean, the pasuk says you should rejoice by eating on this day. So you say,
No one says
how
you
could
have
you
to
say you
wait
can't
until
eat
the
before
Purim
you
Suda
eat?
to eat.
Oh, so that's what we're talking about.
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
Okay. If you're going to read Megillah for someone, so what are you supposed to do?
Turn up your cell phone.
Well, that you should not only when you're reading the Megillah, when you're hearing the Megillah for sure, you should turn off your cell phone.
Even in Suda, you should turn it off.
Yeah.
But especially.
Okay.
We're on the third paragraph.
Yeah, base. So there's two questions, and so the simple answer is the way the Alter Rebbe says. Even the Mishnah Berurah says in Tim and Tov Reish Tzaddik Beis that the minig is that if you read Megillah for someone, that you make the brachas, even though you already heard the Megillah. That's what the Mishnah Berurah says is the minig. Well, the Alter Rebbe, if you look in the Alter Rebbe when he talks about Lagabe Shofar, because we don't have the Alter Rebbe Lagabe Megillah, the Alter Rebbe Paskins not that way. The Alter Rebbe Paskins like the Magen Avraham. That if you're gonna blow shofar for someone and you were already yoitza, so if that person could make the bracha, let them make the bracha. It's their mitzvah. If they can't make the bracha, they're not religious yet. They don't know how to make the bracha. Okay, so you make the bracha because din arvus, I'm responsible for another Jew. If he didn't do the mitzvah, I didn't do the mitzvah, so I can make the bracha. If another Jew didn't put on tefillin, it's as if I didn't put on tefillin.
Shouldn't you make it with the person? Shouldn't you make it with the person if you can?
If you can.
The same with Kiddush for Friday night, same if they can't make the blessing, you should.
Yes, the same like Kiddush Friday night.
But you should drink the wine and they'll make the blessing? Is that how it is?
No, you drink the wine. So let's read it inside. The Shulchan Aruch says, Anoshim, Noshim, everyone's chayiv to read the Megillah. Everyone's chayiv to read the Megillah. Why? The Gemara says, Sha'afen Oisa Ba'isa Nes, that the women were in the same nest. Before we continue reading, it's interesting that Chanukah and Purim are both the mitzvahs that are on, and they have, the women are an integral part of the nest. Sha'afen Oisa Ba'isa Nes, they're part of the Gzeda, and they're part of the nest. So in Chanukah, a story that brought in Midrashim from Yehudis, and they brought in Shulchan Aruch. And Megillah says there, you don't need a medrash. It's Esther. It's Esther Amalka. It's Esther Amalka. There's a beautiful word from the Rebbe Marash. The Rebbe Marash was in 1880. There were incredible pogroms all over the Russian Empire against Yidden. It sent about 500,000 Jews over the ocean to the United States of America. It was an unbelievable wave of immigration. Yeah. They didn't come. Rahman al-Islam in America, there wasn't yeshivas and there wasn't a infrastructure. But the Jews that went 1880 to America didn't go because they wanted to run away from Judaism. They wanted to run away from the Polacks, from the Cossacks, from the Hulu, from the pogroms. The Rebbe Marash came to Petersburg to try to do something about it. Obviously, these pogroms were not just spontaneous pogroms, just like, today, Rahman al-Islam in Israel, when it is not, the media likes to portray it as, lone wolves, about Michigan, deranged, disgruntled individual. It's a society that's teaching it to them, and is
Organized crime.
right.
Yes.
That under the Tsar's watch, there was no riots went on if they weren't yes.
Sanctioned.
Yes. So the Rebbe Marash there was a meeting of rich Jews in Petersburg, and the Rebbe Marash suggested at this point that the regular channel is not going to work, and that they have to ask for a meeting with the Tsar. And he asked that there should be a delegation. He suggested he would go with 2-3 of the people that were there at the meeting. They were all Gvidim, and we're talking about Ober rich.
Oligarchs.
Yeah. We're not talking about the Shtetl Yidden. These were maybe several generation fancy Jews that were living in Petersburg, and they were not Heimische Yiddelach.
Were they assimilated?
Yeah, maybe not mamish like assimilated today because the Goyim wouldn't let them. But we're talking about the Ober-rich bankers or builders and so on. Jews were not allowed to live even in Petersburg. Only these guys had special permission. Okay.
What country is it?
Russia.
Russia.
So one of the guys got up and said, we're not like pieces on a when usually they said he doesn't ask us our opinion. He does whatever he wants to do. Now all of a sudden he wants to go to meet the Tsar, and he feels like he wants to go with a delegation. We're not like little pieces we're not pawns on a chessboard. So the Rebbe Marash said, this is the pshat, it says that Mordechai said to Esther, Im hachrish tachrishin revach vatzal al amad al hudim makam acher va'at beis avich tovedu. He was threatening her. That if she is not going to listen to what he's suggesting, that she should talk to Achashverosh, that that they're going to get wiped off the face of the earth. The Rebbe Marash said, he told her that this is your moment that your neshama came to this world. And if you're not going to do it, you're going to lose the schus. You're going to lose the schus. That's it. The Rebbe Marash got up and he left, and Taka, he went himself. And
They didn't want to go with him. Right?
they didn't want to go with him. And he went himself, and in the talks. So he obviously it wasn't easy to get an appointment, but he did get an appointment, and he had atzlocha. Obviously, it was a tremendous agmas nefesh. Because he said he's soon traveling to Paris, and there are reporters from a certain newspaper that always asking him about how the Jews are being treated. He wants to know what he should tell them. So this was before he met the king. So this was an interior minister. He said the Lubavitcher Rebbe is threatening me that he's going to make a smear campaign against the Tsar. He said, no, I'm a truthful person. I have to tell the truth to the world press. Obviously, his words were not accepted with glee, but Lepoil, he was matzliach, and the pogroms were stopped.
Rob Morozov.
Is not Chabad rabbis also doing similar kind of things? Are we saying that?
This is a story from the Rebbe Marash. I don't know. It was I don't know. I just know what's brought in Chabad sources about the Rebbe Marash. I'm sure every Yid did what they could do. It wasn't easy. I mean, these guys were Sarni Yisrael. Okay, so let's read. So women are part of the miracle. Mishakayda Megillah Noshem, Amy Avarach Lahem. So Tshuva. Pasuk Rishon the Shulchan writes, Hakulchem Mikriyot Sanoshem Venoshem. Yeshem Shanoshem Etzis Sanoshem. There is an opinion that the women, even though they're part of the mitzvah, when they read, they can't be mitzi the men. Usually, the rule of thumb is if a mitzvah is on you, and the other person, both are equally obligated, min haTorah or min derabanan. So I could read it for you. If I'm not obligated, I can't read it for you. So here, even though the men and women are equal, so why should the men read for the women and the women can't read for the men? That's the way it is. Lishmoya Megillah she'ein chayavas b'kriya. Right. The Mishnah Berurah says, "V'lo yidam l'nei Chanukah." Shana Megillah da'avet k'moy kriyas ha'Torah psulim b'nei kavod ha'tzibur. V'lachein afilu liyochid eina mitzia mishum loy plug. Why can't a woman, just like Chanukah, we say the woman can light the menorah to make the bracha, and the man can be yotze because the man and woman are equal in this. So why is it by Megillah is different? So the answer is Megillah, the poskim say, are compared to reading the Torah. And the Chazal say that women shouldn't read Torah because that's not covered at Tzibur. It's not covered. It's not. The Reform today think that's covered the opposite. It's more covered that the women should read the Torah.
So what do you
But Chazal didn't think that way. It's a judgment call. It's a judgment call. It's a machloikas. Machloikas apoiskim.
Yeah.
It's a judgment call. They think it's covered that the women should read. The Chazal think it's not. It's hepach covered. Right?
Yeah.
The Chazal thought the other way. You know, it depends who you ask. So
Do they have on whom to rely to do it? Or
Huh?
one opinion they have?
no,
Do they
for
rely on it?
Kriyas Torah not. There's no shitting. But Shaila is like this. The Bach says that because the reason is covered at Tzibur, so it's a technical thing, and therefore there's no such thing as loy plug. But if she reads b'yachid, she could read for others only b'tzibur in the shul.
Even
But,
though
in the dining room in her house, if there's if her husband and son wants to listen, and her nephew is also there, it's mutter. That's what the Bach holds. Now you could say that the Magen Avraham is an argument that says loy plug. Means look, if Chacham said the woman shouldn't read, she shouldn't read. Or you could say that it's more than that. You could say that it's that Chacham made it like Kriyas and Torah, and just like by Kriyas and Torah, they said a woman can't read. Same thing by Megillah. It's absolute that she can't read, right? So that's the first reason. The second reason, which is the Gra, says like this: that v'gam the efshe the isha ena chayaves b'kriya rak lishmoya. Could lakamei that it's a zoya. The Gra brings it to befedish zoya. It's a befedish zoya that the woman is chayav to hear and not to read. Mikri she'ena chayaves b'dobel gabi isha aval isha metzias chaverta. That her. We say when two people are chayiv equally, one could read for the other. But if one is chayiv mederaisa and one mederabanan, the one that's mederabanan can't read for the one that's deraisa, because men are mechuyev both to hear and to read. The women are only mechuyev to hear. By them there's no mitzvah to read it. Okay, so according to the second opinion, it's absolute. There's no such thing. A woman can never read it, only for herself. Okay, or for other women. Okay. So now we understand why the hemshech of the words of the Shulchan Aruch, of the Mechaber and the Ramah. It's totally in the Shaila. If you say that it's not covered for her to read it, okay, but her mitzvah and the man is the same. They could say al Mikra Megillah. Their mitzvah is also Mikra Megillah. Okay, it's not covered tzibur, it's a technical thing. But if you say that they're really, like the Zohar says, that they are potter from reading, they're only mechuyev to hear. So it makes sense that the nusach of their bracha should be lishmoya, not al mikra Megillah, lishmoya Megillah.
And is it?
Oh, so now is the question. Read the next piece. Kitzur Shulchan Aruch, one piece before the last. Kitzur Shulchan Aruch writes, Misha kvar yotza b'kriyas Megillah, The koide loitzi ach im ze shu tzarich lotzis yoidei ba'atzma levarach bracha yivarach ba'atzim. If you're reading Megillah for someone else, if he knows how to make the bracha, let him make the bracha. If you're putting on film with another Jew, if he knows how to make the bracha, let him make the bracha. Otherwise, you make the bracha. If it's a woman, if it's a woman, it's better that the kodesh should make the bracha, and what should be the bracha? Lishmoya Megillah. So Bemis is there is a long tshuva here. That's 15 pages from the Minchas Yitzchak, which he goes through. This is mamash acharonim that figured out that hey, what did the Shulchan Aruch, Kitzur Shulchan Aruch do over here? Hey, he like pulled a quick one here, and he wasn't. By the way, the Baal Kitzur Shulchan Aruch was a Gaon Otzim. Shlomo Gansfried was a poisek. He was a poisek gadol. Even though he wrote a book called Kitzur Shulchan Aruch, he's not. He is a kitzur.
He's not.
He wrote many other svarim, which from those svarim we know that he was a Gaon Otzim. So the Minchas Yitzchak has 15 pages. A tshuva about this. So he has a few points. So basically, he brings from this Dei Chemed. Some say dafke the woman must make the bracha and not the man, and some say dafke the man that's reading it. Dafke the man that's reading it. So there's a shakla like. Why would you say dafka the woman? So it's a little bit of a weak argument because why am I making a bracha for another Jew? Because I'm responsible. If he didn't put on tefillin, I didn't put on tefillin. The question is, are women or b'chlal the arvus? But the problem is that that's a mute question because we already paskin lagabi kiddush and lagabi all the other mitzvahs. Lapoil we paskin. The tzlach is a big go and Neidavihud is great, but Lapoil we don't paskin that way. So I can't see how this would even come into play. That this would be an issue. The only thing is that it could be this would be an issue. Bottom line is, I think for us, it's kamat not an issue. I don't even hear what the question is. Like what's the question? If it's a man and he can make the bracha, let him make the bracha. If it's a woman, the same thing. If they can't make the bracha. So you should say you shouldn't make the bracha. I don't hear that.
If a woman reads for a woman, who would make the bracha?
Oh, that's fine. But he brings the shittas that's saying that the woman must make the bracha. Must. And the man can't make the bracha for her.
And if the woman makes the...
He still has a revis. So hers is less. Hers is less, but not more. He has kriya and shmiya. She has shmiya. It's hard for me to hear this. It's hard for me to hear this. I think the bottom line is if the woman or the person you're reading for, if they can make the bracha, let them make the bracha. For sure, if it's only women in the room, and whoever's making the bracha should be Lishmoya Megillah, like the Ramah says. That's what the Ramah says. The Ramah says that the bracha is Lishmoya Megillah. That's it. There's no question. But if that woman that you're reading for, or the group of women, they can't make the bracha, so this is really where the argument would be. So no one should make a bracha, or I should make the bracha. It's hard for me to hear this, that it should be such a thing that I can't make the bracha. Because the Poshta Pshat in the Gemara is that women are chayiv, just like men. Amen. And even if you'll tell me that's not a technical thing that they shouldn't read, that the Zoya says that their chiyuv kill a little less, but I have that chiyuv plus. So it's hard for me to hear this. I think if you're reading for women or for men, they should make the bracha. Now, if you're reading just for women, so you should be aware that the nusach is different. Not al mikra Megillah, but just like the Ramah says here, that it should be lishmoya Megillah. Lishmoya Megillah. Lishmoya Megillah. Lishmoya Mikra Megillah. If it's only women in the room, doesn't matter who makes the bracha. The nusach of the bracha should be Lishmoya Megillah. That's what the Ramah paskins, and we don't see that someone should argue with that.
Which lesson do you make?
If as I said, if it's men, it's al mikra Megillah. If it's only women in the room, you're going to a nursing home, you're going to a hospital, and or you're going to a home where women couldn't come to shul because the women that are pregnant, they had babies, and there is a room full of women, and there's not even a single man in the house. You should make a l'shmoya mikra Megillah.
It's a mixed room.
And al mikra Megillah. Yeah.
By shofar, which one?
Because Lapoil, that's the takon al-chatchila. Why? Because there's a whole pilpul. Why? I know it's over there is because there's a big pilpul. Why? But Lapoil azoyed this. That's the nusach habrocha.
If you're doing it for others, basically Lishma.
I know. He says Lishmoya Megillah. For some reason, the Minchas Yitzchak thinks it's Lishmoya Mikra Megillah. So that's why I'm.
In the Hashem, what's it say? What's the possible?
Huh?
In the Hashem.
He does. The Alter Rebbe doesn't bring it, but it's Nishken Raya. That we have once discussed this. If the Alter Rebbe, the Alter Rebbe wrote in the Siddur. My great uncle Zechron Lavrocha said he wrote it for men. He didn't write it for women. So therefore, you can't bring a raya. I know it's very chauvinistic what he said, but it might be true. So because it was a discussion, if in Chabad, if the minig, if the woman should say Shasani Keret Zoinen, the Alter Rebbe doesn't bring it. So my uncle said Snishke raya, because the Siddur was not written for women. And my mother made the bracha Shasani Keret Zoinen, and she lived her whole life in the Rebbe's house. As a raya that's the minig Chabad. but then, huh? I don't know. I think he's a little but you have to realize his father was a chosed of the Rebbe Rashab and the Frierdiker Rebbe. It's hard to imagine what a chosed is, and everything he did was based on what. And he every night he sat with the Rebbe, like he would have asked him. That's what my uncle's for is. But anyway, my uncle got voted down. Lapoil, the minig Chabad today is that women don't make Shasana Kiritzoin. They just make no bracha. But anyway, his big svara was that the Chabad said that the Alter Rebbe wrote, he didn't write it for women. So you can't bring a raya. So the fact that the Alter Rebbe wrote Al Mikra Megillah and didn't write Lishmoya, again, according to my uncle, it's Nishken Raya. Okay. They asked the Rebbe. The Rebbe didn't get involved. The Rebbe said they should ask Ziknei Rabban Chabad, what is the Chabad minig? That's it.
He got out from it very easy.
Yeah, take it. He didn't want to get involved.
Yeah.
No, shot is, if the Rebbe had an opinion, he always said it. If he didn't have an opinion, he didn't say it. He said he didn't have an opinion. Okay, let's summarize the first shaila and the second shaila. Let's summarize the second shaila. The second shaila, if you're going to read Megillah for another Jew, best that they should make a bracha. There's only women in the room. Then the bracha should be a sheker d'shana matzos. It's one of the shmoya Megillah. If they can make the bracha, that's the best thing. Let them make the bracha. If otherwise, you should make the bracha. Let's do quickly one more shaila, just an interesting, a funny shaila. On Purim, a lot of people dress up and they paint themselves up, or clowns. You get painted all over. They paint themselves up. Now, at the end of the day, some of the paint already is dripping off. But Lapoil, you're not taking a bathtub or a shower and washing everything up until next morning or that night late. So shaila is lagabe natilas yadayim. If you have a chatzitza, something glued to your hand, that you can't do a natilas yadayim. So you're really obligated to wash off all that paint from your hand? Yes or no? That's my question. Answer. Let's read in the Alter Rebbe. So by the way, there's an interesting discussion about this. The Gemara says, good morning, the Gemara says that the Kohanim in the Beis HaMikdash, that they're not allowed to be a chatzitza between their feet and the floor. They didn't wear shoes and socks. The Kohanim used to walk barefoot. But the thing is that the Azorah was full of blood. So now that the Kohanim, you're a Kohen, you got to know this. So the Kohen, you came just in time. We're talking about Kohanim.
It's going to be Lamaisa very soon.
It's going to be Lamaisa very soon.
Yeah.
So the Kohanim, so the Gemara says Daf Lamed Hein Zvachim, that even though there's a chatzitza blood between them and the floor, because there were times that there was so much blood that it would come up to their ankles, but because it was lach, it's wet, so it's not a chatzitza. So now there's a whole
not stationary because
it's not because it's
stationary.
No, because it's not yovish, it's not dry.
Oh.
And mashma from the Gemara, had it been dry, it would be chaitzes, only because it's wet. But the Gemara doesn't say that. The Gemara says because it's lach, therefore it's not chaitzes. No. So that's the question here. So you could say this is the best answer. Sometimes a different, like you could say the Gemara said, but it goes in like in Hilchas Shofer in Tov Kuf Tzadik Beis. The Dogma Rabbav has an interesting shaila. There's the moyel just did a bris. You hear Reuven did a bris, and the moyel does metzitza. there's blood on his lips. So the old minhag was that the Moilim was so proud that they did the bris that they didn't wipe their lips. The whole day they walked around with blood on their lips. Lipstick. Okay. So what happens? A funny shaila. This is the Dagmar Baba asks it. What happens on Rosh Hashanah? He did a bris. He's supposed to do the bris early on Rosh Hashanah, especially because reminding Aked the Yitzchak before Tki is supposed to do the bris before Tki is
Connected.
Huh?
They talk about
To connect it,
one
right.
to the other.
So now he finished, and there's blood still on his lips, and he is the Baal Tekeya. And there's not allowed to be a chatzitza between your lips and the shofar.
And it may have dried.
It's a problem.
And now it dried. So he says it's a chatzitza. Because the Gemara says only when it's wet, it's not a chatzitza. But once it's dry, it's a chatzitza. No, parents will put on with him. Okay, so therefore, others disagree. They say, the Gemara tried to say adifale, but it's noi. It's like lipstick. No, wait a minute. He's going to put on with you tefillin.
Right now, go right now. Okay.
So others say no. It's like lipstick. The moil is proud. It's like putting on it's beautiful. So it's not a chatzitza. So you can ask a little bit of similar shaila. You could say, I know you think I'm saying a purim taita, but I mean it is funny, but it's a shaila.
Yeah.
Would you say that the person has to wash off his hands and clean off the makeup or whatever is ungeshmiert on the hands? Yes or no? I think it would be similar to the question, right? Because it's dry. Let's read it. Right, here is less.
What
You
about
can say
a
it's
Band-Aid? If you have a Band-Aid on your hand, there's no
Band-Aid. You have to take it off.
Oh, you have
And do. I mean, unless you need the Band-Aid there, and you have to make sure to put a revius at one time. Unless you need the Band-Aid there, and then you make sure to put a revius at one. You give a big whoosh that there should be
Like if you have
on
a
top of the
cast,
hand at
you
one
don't-
time.
If you have a cast, you don't remove the cast. That's a different story.
Okay.
That's a different story.
So
don't use the hand. Story we can finish. Maybe
one second, we're finishing. The Alter Rebbe writes. If you have ink or color, if it's lach, if it's wet, it's not choitzitz on your hands. You can wipe because it goes down in the water. Yeveshim, if it's dry, it's choitzitz. Hushesh mamoshus atzev al yodav. Lemein aleim al maaretz atzev einei choitzitz. Has to be mamoshus. So, like sometimes you put like certain dyes, like for example, there could be there's no mamoshus on it. You like, huh?
Henna. The Moroccan put henna on.
Yeah. So there's no mamoshus. Mamoshus is like those the thing they buy in the purim store, and like it's like it's yeah. That's what's mamoshus.
How about if he has tattoo on his hand, he can put film? It's there.
No, we spoke about it. Yeah. Because it's Avalim ein aleim ela maaretz atzeva einei choitzes. Mishu tzovei, a person that's a painter, ein atzeva choitzes al yodav. Afal pi shesh mamoshus tzevoinim al yodav. V'chein mishu umnoseli yishoich tekatzav yodav malachlachas tamid badam einei choitzes. V'chein lamoich rishuman. Av v'shrei bnei yom makpidim. Kim v'shrei bnei yom salala makpidim. Ein choitzes alahem. Aval achar shein rogel b'kach choitzes. Pila einei makpid. These people, for example, painter, so the paint, a few stains of paint on his hand, doesn't matter. He washes his hand. He doesn't have to, every time, a painter, he goes Shabbos, before Shabbos, a frum guy who's a painter. So Shabbos will come to shul, he'll try to get his hands clean the whole week. What is he going to do?
So it's dry. It may have dried the paint.
Right? Yeah. Says the Alter Rebbe, here's now going to be the kicker, and I'm going to tell you in a minute why. If the roiv of the hand is mechutza with something which does have a moshes, choitzitz afilu loitzim shein dark mahak, but it's always choitzitz, even if you're not mak. Now, if you look in the Mishnah Brura in some Samachala, he says, well, there's an exception. If it's lenoi, if a woman puts like nice thing on her hand, lenoi, because she thinks it's nice, then it can be meroiv hayad. I don't care because it's lenoi. If it's annoyed, but the Alter Rebbe sounds like he doesn't hold of that. The Alter Rebbe sounds, from the simple reading of the Alter Rebbe, it sounds the cholze avalim roiva yad mechusa bedava sheyesh b'mamis choishes afilu loitzum she'en darkem lahakpid. You could a little bit kvetch and say that the Alter Rebbe is only talking about that it's choitzitz if you're not makbid. But if besides not being makbid, you're sos v'sameach, you're so excited that you have it, like the woman that likes to put like a sticker. They're like, it's like a sticker. You put a sticker and you take it off, and it's like a certain and there's a certain image. So if you sos v'sameach, so maybe the Alter Rebbe would be masking like the Mishnah Berurah, but it's not so clear. It's not so clear. So bottom line is, if there's no mamashus, so it's not a problem. But if there is a mamashus, if there is, and it's a roiva, if it's miut hayad, obviously it's not makbid. But if it's a roiva hayad, so then the tztaka would be a shaila between the Alter Rebbe and the Mishnah Berurah. So at least you should clean off that there shouldn't be the chatzitza on the roiva hayad. The Eibusha should help that very soon we should be dealing with the source of the shaila, which will be in the Beis Hamikdash, and the kohanim will be busy, and the hands will be filled with blood, and their feet will be filled with blood, and then there'll be a shaila if the blood is dry. And now for them, they're proud about it because I'm working in the Beis Hamikdash. You see my hands, you see my lips, you see my feet. It's full with blood. At the taka will be the question. We'll have to mitzvah Shem Moshe Baran Nimon. Maybe the Dogal of Vonvo will be standing by there too, and we'll have a discussion if because it's so beautiful, if we'd say that it is a chatzitza or not a chatzitza.
Rabbi Maraza.
Yeah, sure.
Rabbi,
The reason I brought Alter Rebbe here. No, I'm going to take a moment. The reason bottom line is us. Yes, the minig is does not have even not enough, even the noise. However,
just a certain
one
thing.
second.
Do we have 10 that watch? Do we have 10 that watch?
It's kunoi, and it's not only mitch einoi makbet, but it's kunoi makbet. They want it there. So if you're the certain women, if you're going to tell them that it's a chatzitza, the purim.
Do we have a story? Do we have a story?
Huh? The story of the Rav Marash. You heard that story? Oh, wait a minute. I'll tell you again.